Do you recognize this? I know it's like 144p, but if you've ever attended a Jehovah's Witness meeting, I think you'll be able to recognize this building. This is an empty kingdom hall. That's the typical entrance with the little room where the elders have confidential meetings. This is the bulletin board where they post their upcoming speeches and such, and even the chairs are typical kingdom hall chairs. And this, right next to the platform, is an empty literature corner where you can get all the magazines and books and other physical literature. But what's this next to the literature department? Why is this Kingdom Hall chair on top of this platform thingy with wood and carpet that do not match the rest of the Kingdom Hall? Well, because this is not an empty Kingdom Hall. You're looking at the inside of the Masjid Bit Nabala Mosque. But if you look at the mosque from the outside on Google Maps, you find out who built this mosque. The Jehovah's Witnesses. That's right, at one point, this was a dedicated kingdom hall, but it got sold a few years ago to a Muslim group, and the sale even made the news. This is going to be a space for Palestinians and Muslims in Winnipeg, especially in St. James, that can gather together, pray together, just be together. I wonder, would Jehovah's Witnesses agree that this was Allah's hand helping the Muslims, or does that logic only works one way? This is especially damning when you consider that Jehovah's Witnesses teach that they exclusively follow not what the governing body decides, no, but what's in the Bible. And here's what the Bible has to say about things that you dedicate to God. And spoiler alert, it says that you should not sell them, whether they're physical goods or real estate. But selling real estate that has been dedicated to Jehovah is exactly what the governing body and the leaders of this religion do on a systematic basis. Tell a whole bunch of congregations that they're in need of a new kingdom hall, have them build, pay, and upkeep the property, and once it's ready, they tell the congregations that they need a new kingdom hall, sell the old kingdom hall, and wait a few years to do it all over again. These kingdom halls show that the governing body is leading this religion to do things that the Bible condemns, dedicating real estate to Jehovah only to sell it later. And not just to anyone, but in this case, to a religion with teachings that directly contradict the teachings of the Jehovah's Witnesses. How do you think witnesses would react if they saw this other kingdom hall in the UK sold to a religion that teaches that the Bible, which Jehovah's Witnesses teach is infallible, is actually completely corrupted? That's what these people over here are probably learning right now, and I gotta say, that makes a lot more sense than a God straight up approving systematic CSA, but then again, that's not what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe. And man, this kingdom hall looks a lot more cozy now that it's a mosque in the UK that you can visit barefoot and sit down to have a little prayer on thick, comfy carpets. But you don't have to go all the way to the UK to do that. You can do it next time you go to the Niagara Falls and try to visit the local kingdom hall. Because this hall only became a Muslim community center and a mosque a few years ago, so we don't even have a street view of how it looks like as a Muslim center, only as a kingdom hall. But look at the pics of the inside. Look at that carpet! And this isn't just a mosque, because they seem to also give out food and have some entertainment for the kids. Seriously, this building has become such an important part of the local Muslim community that it has like a bazillion pics of Muslims who go there and take pics with their friends and family just chilling. But Jehovah's Witnesses don't always lie to their members when building and selling kingdom halls. I bet they told all volunteers that they were building this kingdom hall for Bethel. And they would be completely correct. This kingdom hall was sold to the Bethel United Church of Jesus Christ. We know that not just through Google Maps, but because this also made the news. Daniel Pitt, Kilpatrick & Co.'s office manager, said, "We are very pleased that the sale has now completed after many months of planning, preparation, and patience. Bethel United Church of Jesus Christ have already made plans to have their first meeting, opening service, on April 13th, and we were very grateful to them for their patience during the process. On a personal note, as a Christian myself, it is nice to think that the building will continue to be used as a place of worship and a house of prayer, and I wish them Godspeed for all they do in the future." Well, let's hope Danny isn't a Jehovah's Witness and decides to attend even one service there after April 13th, because those would be grounds for removal of the congregation and shunning. But if Jehovah's hand was guiding the sale of any kingdom hall, it will be this one. Located in what seems to be the middle of absolutely nothing, this hall was sold to the Kingdom Nation Ministries. Imagine being a member of the Kingdom Nation Ministries. You are a Kingdom Nation ministry, and you need a place of worship, specifically in the middle of nowhere. And then you find out that some cult is selling what they call a kingdom hall. That guy has a better shot at telling a convincing story of being blessed with Jehovah's hand than anyone in the current governing body. And that's probably why they were like, nah, this podium is too humble. Jehovah made this hall just for us. Kingdom Nation Ministry is, let's get a real podium up in here. But if there's a religion you could say Jehovah's Witnesses are building kingdom halls to, it definitely has to be the Baptists. I covered some in the previous video, but then I found this beauty. Now that's a kingdom hall. Or, well, it used to be, but this is the kind of model of kingdom hall that you would see in Watchtower videos from the 90s. Gorgeous, large construction with a whole bunch of grass and parking space. And now, it's probably in this decade's videos of the Northside Baptist Church. Or, well, apparently not, since they haven't even uploaded one public photo of the property to Google. But it's not just local Baptists who are enjoying the craftsmanship of Jehovah's Witnesses volunteer labor. As you can tell from all the unnecessary letters at the end, this is Norway. Even Norwegian Baptists don't post photos on the inside, by the way. But Jehovah's Witnesses don't discriminate when it comes to selling dedicated kingdom halls to what they teach is false religion. They sell them to small denominations like this one sold to Iglesia Palabra de Vida. They sell to large denominations like this kingdom hall that became a Christian center. And even to the religion Jehovah's Witnesses hate the most and have had beef with since their inception, the Catholic Church. I only saw this thanks to Damien U1X, who posted in my previous video about it, and I had to check out a whole bunch of churches in the area to find it, but I finally did. Thank Jehovah, there's only one place in the entire world called Portage Path. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to find it. But this is a kingdom hall converted into a traditional Catholic church. If my grandma was still alive, this is what would make her into an apostate. She converted from Catholicism to the Jehovah's Witnesses when my mom was like 5, back in the time when this religion was constantly criticizing the Catholic religion, directly comparing it to the prostitute from the book of Revelation for adapting their church to any local customs. And she really believed it. She was very against the Catholic Church till she died, as much as Islamophobes, but for Catholicism. Like, Catholicphobe? And seeing the cross on top of a kingdom hall lovingly built by other Jehovah's Witnesses and dedicated to Jehovah would be so shocking to her that she would get paralyzed on the street and get hit by a bus, which is how she died last time. And Jehovah's Witnesses don't just sell dedicated kingdom halls, they also sell dedicated assembly halls. This is the Barcelona, Spain Assembly Hall, reported by SkySurfer77, and I don't want to sound like a cliche woman in an adult video, but look at the size of that thing. This now belongs to the Church of Christ for them to have assemblies, and seriously, what did they use it for? I couldn't find a single photo of this being used either by Jehovah's Witnesses or by the Christians, but the change from Jehovah to Christ speaks for itself. But let's close up with a property that the Jehovah's Witnesses sold to the Muslims that isn't an assembly hall or a kingdom hall. Instead, this is a property with multiple kingdom halls. This is Pioneer Place in Crondon, UK, and as you can see, it used to be kingdom halls, in plural. That's until some Muslims bought it to make it into the Hijri Islamic Center. This is a huge property with lots of buildings, so many that I'm kinda curious to know what the Jehovah's Witnesses use them for, since it couldn't just be like 6 kingdom halls put together, right? And since it's a community center where people now go to do community stuff, we also have a ton of pictures of people worshiping, eating, and having a good time for a change. They take advantage of the empty fields to do outdoor activities, and it looks like they at least sometimes cover what used to be kingdom halls with these printed sheets to make it fully resemble a traditional mosque. I was surprised at how many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses were upset at Muslims having mosques instead of Jehovah's Witnesses having kingdom halls. To me, I'd much rather have all kingdom halls belong to any religion that doesn't fit the cult definition or the Bible model and that supports the community rather than a damaging cult. Finding these sole kingdom halls is quite hard because it's not like Google has a list of permanently closed kingdom halls that were converted to mosques or churches. So if you want to help me find more, point out the ones you know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and maybe even support me like these guys over here. They all get a free STL to Prince Barlock if that's something you'd like for the holidays.